So I've been getting quite a few of the exact same questions, so I decided to make this video about the current winter storm that's hitting all the way down into Texas. My opinions on it are it's quite hilarious because Texans are supposed to be these rugged, independent, strong, tough individuals, which in history they've accomplished quite a few good feats, and but that's not how they are today. Like they're crying, they're dying just because of a little bit of snow. I have a friend that's a little bit farther south in Texas, and they have maybe an inch of snow, and it's in patches from the pictures that he showed me, and I'm like, what's the problem? Like, go to Canada, go up to Montana. Montana probably has 4 or 5 feet of snow sitting on the ground right now. Temperatures far colder, but it doesn't negate that this is turning into a big shit show, like in parts of Colorado, Oklahoma, Kansas, and Texas. You're hearing more about it in Texas because they're just louder about it, complaining more about it. But this is a prime example of why everybody should be prepared. And look at it, you have several million people just in Texas alone. Most of the news articles I've been reading only talk about Texas, but you dig in and you'll see that other states are experiencing the same thing, because a huge part of the U.S. is actually being hit with this snowstorm. But in Texas, there are at least 2.5 million people that are without power. They said it's going to be rolling blackouts. That the news reported, if I remember correctly, I should have kept that open or at least printed it out. I think it was supposed to be up to 45 minutes without power, and it's supposed to alternate. But yet, I'm talking to people, I'm seeing people post on Facebook. They've been without power since yesterday morning. So it's been over 24 hours, And so this is a prime example of why you should be prepared, because, modern technology has a weakness of nature. Nature will always be modern technology's weakness. Nothing can withstand without being damaged or completely destroyed severe hurricanes, tsunamis, earthquakes, snowstorms. And, Texas has been doing a lot of good work as far as green energy. They've been installing a lot of wind turbines, but you're seeing even those are failing. They're saying 60% of them, yesterday they're saying 60% of them have stopped producing power. And that's one of the reasons why they have to do these rolling blackouts. That in the for the first time in some areas it's hitting 0 degrees, so people are cranking their heat way, way, way up because they don't have wood stoves, and so they're cranking it way up, and so the demand's increasing and the power production is decreasing. So there's your kink in the armor. And so a lot of people have been asking me, what can I do? And there's one, it's too late to be prepared. You're in the middle of it. You can't go nowhere because nobody knows how to drive on ice. Like, they've never experienced it. It's not that hard. Yeah. But right now, the best thing for you to do is to blanket up windows, put on multiple layers of clothing. And, because multiple layers of clothing will keep you warmer. It'll trap heat better than one thick layer. And it's just far better to have multiple layers. I always recommend it to people during winter hiking, winter excursions. Military does it with our personnel that are currently, deployed to some very cold areas. When I was in Afghanistan, like, during the day, the hottest part of the day is 0 degrees. So multiple layers, cutting off sections of the rooms in houses. Like when I was younger, would actually put nails, like would shut off some of the rooms and would put nails up in the ceiling and down below and put blankets up to cut those off so the heat didn't transfer back down those long hallways, because that dead space, every little square inch of dead space you have has to be heated up. It's going to suck heat in. So by putting those blankets up and everything, you're cutting that off. For people right now who have tiny homes, or they have methods of heating their home, that can work. Putting blankets up over your like windows, around your doors, to add an extra seal around your doors, and like every little bit helps. So even if you're only cutting off an inch of room, that works. One of the things that I wanted to remind people not to do, and you're already seeing deaths and serious carbon monoxide poisonings from it, is people are leaving their cars running in their garages, hoping that'll heat up and it transfer into the house, but your exhaust is still there. There's no exit for it, and so some of the news reports I was looking at, there's already been quite a few people dead from that, which is sad and tragic, but that's a simple mistake that it seems stupid to most people, but there's quite a few people out there who that doesn't seem like a stupid idea. It seems smart. There's several hundred cases of people bringing their gas generators indoors, which is the exact same thing as having a car running just to provide power, because they don't have any method of hooking it up over the long distances. A few people that message me directly, they have gas generators, but they're complaining that they're not starting. It's like you bought it brand new and you've had it sitting in your garage, you haven't used it, you let that gas go very, very bad, and it's like, what did you expect? That's part of being prepared, is testing your stuff out, doing your daily, weekly, monthly maintenance on it. I've always recommended a propane generator over a gas generator for a simple fact. One, it's a lot easier to maintain, and two, propane, you can store bottles of propane for years without them going bad. But because of all the additives to make cleaner emissions in the gas, it goes bad real quick. Just a few months, and a lot of the gas can go real bad. And that's just a sad reality that these people are going to have to face, is that they thought they were prepared, and they're not as prepared as they should be, or could have been, if they would have just thought ahead. So I'm recommending to a lot of people, and I wanted to put this in video format, some of the things you can do right now is, like I said, cut off sections of your house to conserve heat. If you have the capability of doing a wood stove inside your house, because there's camp stoves that are small, they're portable, only $100, and all you got to do is make piping that goes out a window, and kind of a makeshift feeling around that, so you can block off most of the wind coming in and out around the window, and those work fine. I've actually have a small portable one that I use for the back of my truck. Throw a camper on there, have the outlet going outside, and just a single stick will heat up that entire back of that truck. And so with a house, you might need a little bit more, might be a little bit harder to find things to burn right now, but where there's a will, there's a way. You have plenty. People have junk furniture that they can burn. Half the people in Texas that you drive by, they have all sorts of stuff you can burn in their yards. Your neighbors might have extra stuff. You know, those are good methods that have lasted the test of time. We've had fire farther back than we have our written language or pretty much anything else. And fire works. But that does you no good if you don't go out and look for it, and you don't have methods of conserving your heat, because it's not just about generating more heat, it's about conserving what you already have. So by putting the blankets and stuff up around the windows, that provides a very good method to conserve heat. And some people I've spoken to, they're complaining, well, what do I cover up with? It's like, you have your clothes. I tell people your clothes are your first line of defense against nature, against the weather, because the right type of clothing, multiple layers, it could be snowing and you feel fine even just sitting there. I've done plenty of hunts out in the snow. I've had snow accumulate on my shoulders, on my laps, as I was sitting there waiting in ambush. And that can only be accomplished with correct amount of layers of clothing. Types of clothing help. Wool's obviously better than cotton, but if cotton's all you have, the more the better. Because if you don't have enough layers of clothes, that snow's going to melt, and now you're going to be wet. So if you have cotton, that could pose a very, very real problem. And so if you're inside your house and you have multiple layers of clothes on, that should be enough. I guarantee you that's enough. But a lot of people, they don't want to do it because it's an inconvenience. And it's like, well, so is freezing to death. That's a little bit bigger inconvenience. Some of the people I talk to about talking to their neighbors. Oh, I don't want to talk to my neighbors. I don't know them. I don't feel comfortable. Well, they're in a bad spot. You're in a bad spot. If you pull your resources together, you might be able to figure something out. You might have a neighbor. If you go outside and you see smoke rising, you might have a neighbor that has a wood stove, and you're like, hey, look, we're in a bad spot. Got these kids, got my elderly grandmother, got this, got that. Do you mind if we share your house? That's one thing that Texas does have going for them, is there is a lot of good people there. There's a lot of jerks, just like anywhere else, but there's also a lot of good people there. I can't see very many people being turned away until that house is full. Barter with them. Make an agreement. I got food, you got heat. Let's exchange. I'll cook and clean for you. You just let me and my family, wife, kids, grandmother, dog, stay in your home so we can stay warm, and we'll provide you with all the food we can freaking bring over. Fair trade. You get 2 or 3 families like that, you all will be eating like freaking kings during this disaster. When you're ill prepared, your best asset is the people you see around. They'll have something that you don't have. You'll have something that they don't have. If you guys cooperate, you both get to use each other's resources. And that's one of the methods that humans have used time immemorial to survive, is pulling the resources together, getting bigger groups. Yes, there is more mouths to feed in larger groups, but this disaster is not going to last that long. We're at the tail end of winter. We're getting ready to go into spring. We're less than a month away from the traditional switch over, and so it's not going to last that long. You just have to stop yourself from freezing to death. And unfortunately, there's a lot of elderly out there who can't do that. But there's a lot of younger people who can physically do things. The old guy that's 80-something years old, who has a wife that's on in-home oxygen, like he may be smart enough, well, most likely is smart enough to have some wood heat, in which case You offer food, you offer assistance going and collecting the wood from a shed, you offer all sorts of things in order to exchange. There are a lot of people going, oh, since there's a rolling blackout, let's go to the hotels. But look what happened to the hotels. They dried up. Like, they're packed, they're booked, and that's the people with money and a little bit of forethought. Like, let's go to a hotel. They already jumped on that bandwagon. So the people who have not done that, who have not thought ahead, who have not planned ahead, who have not prepared, you're left with sucking up your pride and asking for help. And you can ask me, you can ask all these other people around you, but if we're 6 hours away, we're not going to be able to help you immediately. Right now, they have a red level travel ban, so emergency personnel only are allowed to travel on the roads. In a lot of places, not all, in a lot of these places. So, that puts a damper on, like, saying, oh, my cousin's 2 towns over, let's ask them for help or go to them to help them, or you can't do that. You're stuck. So you gotta suck it up and go with your neighbors. If you're in a bad position, odds are so are they. And anytime during a disaster, if you have nothing, your neighbor has nothing. If you guys work together, you may have something. They may know something you don't. You may know something they don't. They may have some tools that you need, but they don't have any equipment to get them nowhere. Mix it, mash, figure out what you can do. But don't sit there and, like, call me up, get on the internet, call up all these people and all these places that are not doing as bad and ask for help, because even if we can help you, we can't get to you. We're not allowed to. So it's not that I'm trying to be a jerk or anything and say, well, no, it's not a no. Like, I will help you every way I can, but I can't do it if I'm not there. The only thing I can do is this: I can offer advice, I can give you options, I could have you look at the situation a little bit differently to be able to try something new. But you're going to have to help each other out. This is not a time to say, well, I have limited resources, so I'll fight to protect them. It's like, like, we're both in a bad situation. Let's figure something out that helps us both. The more people you put in a room, the warmer that room's going to be. So if all you can do is say, we don't got no heat, you got no heat, we got no power, you got no power. Let's have your 8 people in your family and the 20 in mine getting to one single house and use our body heat to warm that up. That's something. That's better than nothing. You got to pull your resources together. You got to work together. You got to cooperate any way you can. Your best asset right now, if you're one of the people who have not fully prepared, is your neighbors. Look around, see who needs help. If you have something, if you're doing okay, go knock on your neighbor's door. They may be too prideful or scared or worried or whatever freaking excuses they have in their head to come ask for help. Be proactive if you're capable of helping. And even if you don't have nothing, no power, no heat source or nothing, go and ask around, like, hey, let's all get together in my house. We can share body heat, we can keep each other company. If somebody has a medical problem, there might be one of us who may know something. 2 people in a normal size house are not going to warm the whole thing up. But, you add another 10 people in there, it'll be a lot warmer. And, this is a very important lesson that I learned in Afghanistan. We huddled together. We were so cold out on a few of those patrols that we huddled together, and you realize exactly how quickly you heat up. There's times where you had to step outside of that huddle, even though it's freaking nearly zero on some of those days. that you're getting too hot, you had to step outside and cool off for a little bit. And we'd rotate. Like when we're in large groups, we'd rotate who's on the outside because only part of you is warming up. And the people in the center are getting way too hot. And that took no extra blankets, no nothing. Just getting closer and closer together. So if you got something that retains heat, like a house, like we were out in the open. If you got something like a house, 20 people, that's going to heat it up and keep it warm. Hell, even 10 is going to be doing a lot better. Especially you cut out all the dead spaces. Like, you don't need to go to the garage. You don't need to get into your closets constantly. You don't need to get into the second or third bathroom. You don't need, I say, freaking have like a sleepover in your living room or your largest room. Move a lot of the furniture out, throw down some mats or blankets or whatever you have, some cushions, and bring your bed mattress in there and just have that one area heated up. And as far as your food, without electricity, a lot of people cannot heat up their food. Fire, that you got to go back to using fire. It's something that stood the test of time, something that will never go away. Figure out a way to do it. If you have to, open up your garage door, have a little mini fire pit right in there, and the door going to your house closed off, your garage door open, cook the food out there, and quickly shuttle it inside. It's a method. I tell people do the same thing with their water. Don't drink cold water. It's not that it's going to kill you in a lot of situations that these people are in, but there's nothing quite like drinking warm hot chocolate or tea. Both they're going to keep you healthy, keep you happy. It's going to keep you mentally happy. And that's the main thing, is to keep your sanity throughout this. And tea is wonderful for that. And plus, a lot of teas have some stress relieving properties to it and antioxidants, which you're going to need. You're going through a hard situation. People are freaking out. If you have some of the like nighttime teas that help you fall asleep with valerian and stuff in there, that'll help calm some of the people down. When you have the groups together, play games, especially with the kids, because if you're scared, the kids are scared. And the thing is, kids are naturally scared of the unknown, and they don't know what it is. So they're already scared, then they see you're scared, so that just heightens them. And you got to be thinking about their mental health too. Granted, but by the end of the week or going into next week, this is all going to be over with, hopefully. But you need to take care of things while there's still minor problems right now. Things are going to be opening back up relatively quickly. In Oregon, we had the winter storm that knocked out power for 3-4 weeks. A lot of people had a lot of problems with it, and how people were able to survive was their neighbors, was the help of other members of the community. Some of the roads were completely blocked off. Our major highway, I-5, was completely shut down, north and south. So, the community was left up to helping its own. You guys are going to have to do the same thing on a smaller level, much smaller level. But, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of New Mexico, and Colorado, y'all are going to have to do the same thing because you're not used to it. There's going to be that initial resistance, but when you slip into it, it's going to make it a lot easier. And hopefully by the end of the week, power comes back on, roads start opening back up. You're able to go get the supplies you need. Hopefully nobody has any serious medical problems. When Oregon was hit with that winter storm, it's been just over a year, or about a year right now. Yeah, whatever, however long ago it was. It's been well over a year and a half. you know, not as many people died as you thought would have, but that's because people were helping each other out. People had their medicine that they needed. The biggest thing I was worried about was people who were on in-home oxygen. You know, power being out for 3 weeks. You know, but luckily those people had other people looking out for them, caring, thinking about those things. That took care of that in the early stages before things got too bad. A lot of people were shuttled into the hospital or put up into some of the apartment complexes closer. Um, some of the hotels were opening up their rooms for people. So not as many people died in the whole area as you would have thought if you would have just looked at the numbers and how long it prolonged on, exactly what happened. Like they were getting feet and feet and feet of snow, trees were collapsing, high winds. You know, it was really, it got real bad real quick, and then it took weeks to recover. Hopefully Texas don't have that problem because I don't see it getting that bad. Parts of Colorado could, because they got that in the western part there, it's going up into the mountains, and that normally funnels winds, so the winds really pick up. Trees fall because they have trees there. I was looking on some of the news reports of other states, parts of I-80 through Nebraska, Wyoming, Utah has been closed down for over a day now due to high winds. Because it's flat out there, the winds pick up a lot of speed. They have a tendency to knock semis over, even parked semis. So it can be very, very bad for them. But right now, these people, if you're in your home, you're without power, assume that the power is going to stay off for at least a week, and figure out a heating method if you can, and pull your resources with your neighbors. Those are going to be your biggest assets. It's too late to go out and get sleeping bags or different types of heaters or solar power or propane generators, gas generators. It's already too late for that. You're cut off in a single day. That just shows you how quickly things can change. This is why you need to be prepared ahead of time. So take this as a big, huge learning lesson. Okay, you didn't fail at anything as long as you come out the other side. So keep yourself alive, by using pretty much the only resource you got, and that is your neighbors, your community. And I'm sure they're opening up warming centers. I'm sure there's some businesses that are opening up that have their own backup power, that are opening up, for people to come in. Well, at least I hope there are. Texas, parts of Oklahoma, I know there's a lot of people who are good people like that, so they will be doing that if they have the potential for that. But if not, open your home up to your neighbors, bring them in, bring the resources in. Maybe you guys can figure out something to do. But until then, at the very least, a large amount of people in a single home will keep that warm. You just by your body heat. The only thing you have to figure out then is how to get everybody fed. And if multiple homes pull their food together, you make a little makeshift fire pit out in the garage or out in the yard if it's not too windy, snowing, or raining right now. You should be set. It's only a week. It's not that bad. It's not that long. It's not like a year where you got all sorts of other problems. No, even if you don't eat for the rest of the week, you're not likely to die unless you got some health problems already. So even if you have to go without food, that's not a problem. Make sure you get water, and use it as a learning lesson. Write down things, like write in a notebook, okay? Note to self, get a gas generator. A propane generator is a lot better because the propane don't go bad. There's something you could throw in there. Get the portable solar panels, so you can, even if you can't do anything other than have one electric heater going off that thing, that is still better than nothing. But you got to realize those things are fallible too. You know, they're modern technology, and they will fail. You know, they have their breaking points too, so you got to take care of them. You can't just go and get them and throw them in a corner and expect them to be good in 5 years. People with their gas generators are learning that lesson now. I say wood stove, you know, there's a lot less moving parts on that. It just has one little flapper valve to let the smoke out and one to let the oxygen come in. That's it. That's not hard, you know. And it's a proven design that stood the test of time. Get one of those, even if it's just one of those $100 camp ones. Some people get 55-gallon barrels and make their own ones. That's fine too. Some people get the 35-gallon ones because, you know, they're a little bit smaller, a little bit easier to manipulate. That's fine too. Just make sure the exhaust is going outside the home. Don't be like some of these people who have their car or gas generators running inside. Even propane generators produce fumes. Clean or burning, but produce fumes. So you got to be mindful of that. Let those out. You don't need those in where you're at. Some people are using candles to try to heat up their homes. The thing with the candle is you got a flame like that big. You know, it's not really going to do much. You know, unfortunately, it's not really going to do much. And it's better than nothing, yeah. It gives you light, yeah. But a fireplace, a portable wood stove, a million times better. A single freaking log, hours and hours of heat. But there's the things that you have to get ahead of time. So put that lesson away, you know, and once this is over, go out and get one. They're cheap. There's some that are more expensive, some that are super fancy, you know, some that fold up and collapse down real nice and tight and then have its own stand that's adjustable where you can adjust it up to chest high or have it down knee high. You know, you don't need nothing fancy. You can make one your own. You know, if you have a friend that knows how to weld, they can make it for you. But right now, like, if you're in this, then get with your neighbors. That's literally your best option. I've been telling people that ever since yesterday. Just get with your neighbor. You know, you're going to have something they don't have. They're going to have something you don't have. At the very least, it's more bodies for body heat in one single building. And hopefully you guys stay safe and learn your lessons. You know, have food that don't need to be heated up, stored away. You know, that's a biggie because most people, they don't have that. They have meat that needs to be cooked. They have microwave dinners that need to be heated up. They don't have anything that you can just grab and eat. You know, they may have cereal. You don't need milk for cereal, but if you got milk, okay, use that. But that's usually the extent of what most people have, which is kind of sad. You know, it's a hard lesson to learn. Thankfully, you know, it's not going to last. Like, if this was at the beginning of winter, I'd be telling people in Texas and parts of Oklahoma, like all those places, I would be telling you guys to start walking out. Start, you know, because, you know, it's only going to get worse going throughout the winter. But we're at the tail end of winter. It's not likely to last that long. And even if it does last more than a week, you still only got a few weeks till spring. And so it's going to naturally start heating up anyways. Even if DOT or the emergency services can't do anything to help you, things are going to get better with each passing day, naturally. So don't worry too much. Don't freak out. Don't become hostile to your neighbors. Your neighbors are your friends, and hopefully you are somebody who's going to be one of their friends. You know, if you have a lot of resources, if you're one of the people who have wood heat, invite the people around you. You know, you can do it on a first come first serve basis, or like, people with elderly or young kids go first. You can have you can alternate days, or you can have it to where, okay, you guys can all come here during the daytime or nighttime. We can get this place absolutely packed. We can play card games, we could play board games, we can, talk, sit, whatever. And then, after a period of time, you guys go back to your own houses, do whatever. It's your guys' decision. It's your situation. You guys know what you have and don't have. These are just suggestions from me. Like, I can't run out and go help everybody. 2.5 million people. Like, don't have that many resources. But if you guys work together, you guys can do a lot of stuff. Just look at the ants, man. They're tiny. But when they all get together and start just getting to work on problems, those problems go away real quick. They fix them. They solve them. So you guys need to have the work ethic of an ant. Get together, work, just keep chipping away at things. No matter how small of a difference each person can make, it does add up. If you can only change things for the better 1%, you get 100 people together, it's 100% better the very first day, and the next day it's another 100%. So it's compounding on each other. You guys are going to have to do that. It's going to take getting rid of your ego, asking for help, providing help. You may have neighbors that you previously had disagreements with. Well, there's a perfect time to use your conflict resolution skills. Bury the hatchet, so to speak. And say, hey, look, we may be in a disagreement on X, Y, and Z. We may not like each other, but you need my help, I need your help. Let's put that stuff aside. We can go back to our normal lives after this and go back to hating each other after this. But until then, let's help each other. And I guarantee you, your attitudes towards each other are never going to go back. You'll be happier and more cooperative with your neighbors. You'll see that a lot of problems aren't really that big of a freaking deal, but you guys were making them into big deals. But when it comes to you and your family potentially dying, that is a big deal. That trumps whatever slight your neighbor may have done to you. Okay? So there's nothing you can really do right now other than take an honest assessment of what you have and what you can do, and go work with your neighbors. Like, that's literally the best possible advice I can give to anybody. And hopefully you guys do this, because it's your best chance of survival. Granted, it's only a week, not super hard, but it will make it a lot more enjoyable, a lot more comfortable. Your kids, the elderly, they're going to be a lot happier. Everybody's going to be happier coming out the end of this if you guys do that. If you use it as a tool to bring your community together. You're going to know your neighbors better. You might find out you guys have a lot more in common than you previously thought. If you've had previous disagreements, you're going to be able to throw those aside and realize that, it's kind of stupid to have them anyways. I could see this being a very, very, very good thing for community building. It's just you guys got to get out there and do the legwork. Go talk to your neighbor. Go talk to the guy down the street. Ask anybody, hey, do you know anybody who has medical problems, disabilities, elderly, young kids? Help them out. Get 10, 20, 30 people together. Again, a lot of people that I know in those states are good people. They're willing to do it. They just got to have a reason to get out and do it. Well, here's your reason. Your neighbor needs your help. You need their help. Go do it.